Hey there, everybody. Are you bored through? We're bored through. And here we're all about the gameplay. Except today, because what we are doing is we are doing a reboxing and component review of Rome Total War, the board game. Long anticipated game, been waiting for it for a very long time. So we're just going to do a bit of a review. As I was saying about the outside of the box, when we did our unboxing, it feels really nice. We've got a good solid tray here. The only thing is that there's no instructions as to where to put everything within the tray. So that's something that is a little bit tricky to kind of get us started here, but at the same time, not too worried about it. I think we're going to be okay. It's not really rocket science as to how all this goes away. The only thing though is that as I was popping out all of the individual markers, it became very, very apparent that we do not have any bags for the markers. So it's been really, really minimal in that respect. So what that's doing at the moment is giving me some real anxiety about what happens if I was to drop this game. What happens if I tip it upside down? What happens if it just all kind of falls out? And the number of trays that we've got available for us here, I'm just not seeing it working out in terms of everything that we're going to need for them. So as you can see, I'm packing away the markers for each of the factions. The markers, by the way, perfectly good. Nice solid cardboard. I can see these doing really, really well. I think these markers get used a lot though, so watch out for your greasy fingers. The only thing as I'm putting them away here is that some of the markers have a nice kind of tan outline, whereas the rest have some of them have black, and there isn't any way to really keep them separate unless I want to take them and keep them separate somewhere else. Maybe that's a good idea to do. I'm kind of thinking that might be a good idea to just keep them separate, but I can keep them separate from each of these, but there's not a lot of space. Separate segregated space anyway, that I can keep them separate from each other. But I guess it's easier to put them together like that. I guess it's easier to pull them apart than it would be to pull the others. At the same time though, a little bit disappointed in terms of the space that we've got here, because that's the 4 factions in. Here goes the unrest markers, and that's taking up 5 of the 6 different areas that you can put them in. And now what I've got to do is to put away the 3 sets of coins into here, but we've already ran out of the tray space, so it's a little bit of a basic tray space, unfortunately. So that's left me with a dilemma as to what should I put where. Yeah, a bit worried about that. I really feel that actually going forwards, it's going to need some baggies to keep them separate. And the decision that I'm going to make right now, oops, I'm dropping some on the floor, is I'm going to just set them up into here. Guys, come together as a community. Please put in the comments below and everywhere else. Go onto the forum on the CCC website. Go onto the Original Games Found site. There's a huge and great community working together on there. If you can figure out the best way to rebox everything and where everything should go, please post it on there. I would certainly love to have that. You could post something as a document on BBG as well, Board Game Geek, those who aren't familiar. So that's just how I'm going to set it up at the moment. Every ounce of space is absolutely required there though. You've got this game tray which kind of can sit on there, so that's going to stop those from falling out should something awful happen. Let me just put away all of the miniatures there. These are nice and simple. Can I see Yeah, and they've been specifically cut for each of the different types of miniatures. Excuse me. Each of the different miniatures. So it's going to be able to hold the precise miniatures. So remember the layout of them, because that is actually how they go in. They can't go in any other order. We've got our nice little diplomats here. Going to pull them out. And I'm going to put them in. This seems to be for cards, so I want to keep it that way. So I'm going to put these off to the side here. Next, what we're going to do is pull up all of our ships. I think I've got all of them. There is bags for the ships and for each of these diplomats. I suppose just as we're going along here, the tray as a solution to keep the miniature safe is amazing. Nice sturdy tray. Love the top there, and that's not falling off. What you can do, that's not falling out anytime soon. That's really, really nice. I'm just hoping that it's going to help to keep the markers in the right place should something really, really go badly wrong. It's good to bag these up. I think that's a decent enough solution there. Next, what we'll do is turn to the dice. Don't think it's a problem to just stack them all up inside a single bag. That's all okay. There we go. The other thing is, they're so chunky. Right. Whoops. They are so chunky. I can't actually fit them in. I can't actually fit them flat. Right. I've not even put the buildings away yet. I've not even managed to put the buildings away yet. So before I do that, I think actually I'm going to move on to the cards. So let's put the cards away. So I'm going to start with those cards down in there. I'm going to put the ships on those next. There's certainly a lot of space for the cards. These wells are definitely deep enough. That's not going to be a problem in terms of being able to keep those safe. So look, there's all of the Roman ones, and I think it's only taking up about half the space. So I'm going to quickly look for the Imperial Romans. Yeah, look, I can fit both sets of Roman cards into that, and it's not even filled it all the way up. So that bodes well. There's the barbarians there. There's Carthaginians. That's a bit too much. So mercenaries going in here along with the Greeks. Look at that. I've got enough space and 2 elves. So that's definitely what we're going to do for dice, I think. And that's a decent enough solution there. Action cards. Yeah, you can... Oh, look. Plenty of space for them to sit on top of the ship cards, actually. This is good. This is a very, very good thing. It's leaving enough space then to put all of my buildings into. So here are the roads. As I say, there's a little bit of a review here as well. These cards, they feel a little bit flimsy. I think it depends which cards there are. See, if you're short on sleeves, you don't want to sleeve absolutely everything. I reckon that the faction cards, it depends. There's some of these cards that you're going to use a lot, and some that you're not going to use a lot at all. I think the mercenary cards it's going to be depending on the way that you play. The action cards, again, you might end up using quite a lot of those. The ship cards, you've certainly got plenty in reserve. But maybe worth sleeving if you intend to play this game a lot, because I don't think those cards are going to stand up to an awful lot of punishment. I think the text on the cards are really clear. The graphical representation using images to cross-reference what is in the what's in the rules is fantastic, and you can see that it's cost there, and it's all just very graphical. It's even got the use of symbols and different fonts to make reference to different concepts that's laid out within the reference guide, and also some of the components as well. So there's a big red for a big red die. So this is fantastic for those if you're maybe not familiar with the game, the concepts, or maybe the language barrier there. I think that's really going to help you to comprehend just through sight and what's going on there. The buildings, I must say, it is the most basic way of representing the buildings possible, the most basic that you can possibly do, to the point that it actually really sucks me out of the game. I actually went and invested in the upgraded buildings. I've got to tell you, I think the upgraded buildings are an absolute must. They are an absolute must. The only way that you're going to get anything close to that authentic Rome Total War, the computer game experience, is with the upgraded buildings. I really think that these are kind of cheap and nasty, unfortunately. I really don't want to say that about a game I think I'm going to absolutely love, but that's just what I'm kind of seeing from these at the moment. Let's just get this out so we can go ahead and put the rest of these tokens in. Yeah, looking at this now, definitely keep the black tokens separate. I think that we could probably just put them into the wells here, and that's going to be a much better way of doing it. So for those of you who are watching this, get those black tokens separated. I can see a couple there, so I'm just going to get started. All right, I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just looking at the ones that are visible to me as I'm going through it. And get them separated, because it's going to be a lot easier to pull them apart from here. Another alternative, I guess, is that you could sit them inside the wells. Not sure about that. There's definitely enough space for you to do it so that you're able to keep them safe. Alternatively, you could just put them into another separate baggie, because I really feel that that's maybe what needs to happen here. This is going to be great when we actually get to playing the game, though, so that's going to be nice. The dice here, really massive and chunky. Absolutely love the big chunky dice. Okay, that's not going to be a problem to see what's on them, and we've got a real good heft in your hand there as well. All this coming together, you can see how it is a ready-made storage solution. You can fit everything into it. This bodes well, especially if you're thinking about some of the expansions. So I wonder how well they're going to fit together. I wonder if you may be able to fit some of all that into the same box. Certainly, maybe some of the cards that's not going to fit in the future, but there's still a little bit of space in here. Next, let's get the map board on there. That's fitting nicely. The map board itself, I think it's come out really nicely. It is absolutely gigantic, which I love. It's going to be a real problem for some people's tables, but I really love it. I think the quality of it it's fair enough. In terms of the graphics on it, it's just for representation. It does a good enough job. I think it's pretty well integrated into what the terrain actually kind of looks like as well. The anchors, I think it might be nice to have maybe a picture of a port. So in the same way that you got with the trees and the mountains, maybe have a picture of a port. Maybe have these lines here that represent the rivers and the mountains. Could have been somewhat more thematic. Could you have just had mountains? Could you have had like a picture of an actual river? The advantage of this is it's clear. And ultimately it means that you're not going to get caught up going, is that a river? Is it not a river? It's nice and clear. So I'll give them that. And I can see when it comes to the graphical representation, for clarity's sake, that's the design choice that's been made. Maybe not a choice I would have made, but look, you can definitely see where those rivers are, and that matters. We've got the faction boards here. Again, nice material. That works perfectly well. This seems a little bit small, so if you're hard of sight, I mean, you're going to need your glasses or your lenses to get into this, and because some of these icons are actually really, really small. Let me kind of show you. There's my pinky finger there. That's just showing you for scale just how small each of those are. The advantage is, though, that even though the camera's far away from you there and not the best of quality, you can see that's 1. You can see that's a cost of 2. You can see that's a cost of 4. Okay, and that's all that you really need to know. But at the same time, it is a little bit small, so just watch out for that. Ultimately, the quality of these is absolutely fine. I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't even worry about spilling something on that. I think that's gonna be okay. It's gonna just come off really, really nicely. And not so sure about that with the cards though. But these themselves, for having such small elements on them, are pretty big. So that's another worry when it comes to the table. I think then what we've also got here is a couple of quick reference sheets. Again, they're pretty nice. You know, you're not going to accidentally rip that. Really nice, clear layout there. What would be nice is to maybe have seen the map board actually represented. So it's showing us the cards. It's showing us about what's on some of the action cards there. So that's okay for some elements of the play, but definitely not comprehensive quick reference sheets. It doesn't even actually contain on it the phases of the game. That is on the map board though, so there's actually good referencing throughout, but you've just got to look for it. That's the only problem. We've got the what's in the box, so that's pretty nice. So you can cross-check that and make sure that you've got everything that you're expecting. On the back of that, you've got the first game setup. This is a bit flimsier. You will definitely rip this, so make sure you keep that safe. I can see the map board set up. It's a massive setup, absolutely massive setup. That's good enough that I could certainly get out there and recreate that. So I can see how to put all the components out. The only thing is that it doesn't show you the setup of where the actual miniatures go on the board, if they go on the board at all. Maybe making assumptions there. And so it's hard to tell just what that's going to look like in terms of miniatures on the board, where they're likely to end up. We've got here a massive reference manual. And I'm going to show you separately what that kind of looks like, as well as the rules here. We're going to do a separate bit on that so that you can see exactly what I'm thinking with it. So that's all the pieces fitting in there real nice and snug. That is not an issue at all. And finally, we put the box on. Here we go. Ooh. Got to really push that to get it down. So fits really nicely. I must say I'm really happy with the way that that's turned out. I think the quality of the components are good enough. It's not the best quality for everything. It's giving you a good depiction of everything that you need to see. The card art, I think, is lovely. The sturdiness of the components is good enough in most places. Just watch out if you're intending to use these cards a lot. It might be worth sleeving them. Having some extra bags for the markers would have been nice. So again, think about getting some bags yourself. And finally, the thing that really stands out for me, which is really disappointing, is that the buildings themselves are just very simple. It's very cheap. Unfortunately, it's one of these components that cheapens it a lot, an awful lot. And it really interferes with the immersion within the rest of the game, which I think is just really sad. apologies for those that have invested in the in just the core components in terms of the buildings, but I do want to just take some time and show you, to taunt you, unfortunately, with just the quality that you can get from the upgrade buildings there. So the market represented by a cylinder, and the walls represented by just a flat square. You can see there's actually textures to this. This looks like the settlement sitting on the board. And that is the authentic Rome Total War, the video game experience. And so I would say that these are essential. And actually, I'm quite sad that they didn't put that straight into the core box. I think it would have been worth paying the extra to just had that in there. With the difference in terms of the cost of what it was to put those components in versus just doing a straight upgrade, is it really going to make that much difference? I don't know. I'm not that part of. I don't know the economics of these things, but I think that the buildings upgrades are a must. I've also got the coins upgrade. I wouldn't say they're a must. The cardboard coins are absolutely fine if you like the heft and the feel of metal coins and the sound of metal coins. It's nice. Then yeah, certainly it's maybe worth the upgrade if the cardboard coins are something that you're not going to like. But in terms of the actual design, aesthetically, to look at them, I actually think the cardboard coins are slightly better. I think the design has come out slightly better on the cardboard coins than it has on the metal coins. So if it's purely about appearances, stick with the cardboard. If it's about the feel, then yeah.